Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Hager. This is their part number 1419 US10A. This is a flush bolt. This is commonly referred to as a single route flush bolt, even though it's not quite a single route flush bolt. It can be a single route flush bolt. What that means is the router bit enters and then, you exit all the way through the end of the door. You would not need to route it quite that severely, but it is designed to work that way. So, and that's because you've got a certain width here. When that router bit, this would obviously be the bottom or the top of the door or bottom of the door. When that router bit comes in, whatever that width is would be the diameter of your 2-flute carbide router bit. Plunge all the way down to the required depth, run all the way and completely out the end of the door. Single route is what they call it. The screw runs through the body, so that will sit. The end of that is radiused because your router bit is going to leave a radiused prep in the door. This might be 3/4 wide. Let's take a look. Yeah, they say it's 3/4 wide. My caliper tells me 0.738. And I believe these are about 7 inch in the length. Let's take a look. Overall length, 7 1/8. So you'd be at 6 3/4 to the center, and then you just buzz it down and you'd be in great shape with a 3/4 inch diameter bit. The width, or I should say the depth, 5/8. Okay. So that's how these are done. Simple and easy. That's why they're used in the residential industry, because the residential industry needs to be fast, quick, simple, inexpensive, and easy. And that's the bottom line. As a result, these aren't the most robust of flush bolts that you're going to find in the world. They will not withstand a tremendous amount of abuse. You don't want to accidentally fall into the door. That will damage not only the door, but the hardware. Probably the door first. But they are sold to people who are doing remodeling, whether they are just changing the color of their hardware or they're replacing those that have failed. You put a piece of hardware into a residential application, and sooner or later it will, use over the unit will, of course, cause it to need to be replaced. This is the 10A finish, they call that, which would be like an antique bronze, which means it's going to be redder, less green, and darker than antique brass. That's the way I classify antique bronze. So this sort of finish is going to match, well, they're going to do a US10A when you're doing those darker finishes, your oil rubbed, or obviously an antique bronze finish. However, a testament to the commonality of this type of flush bolt is going to be evidenced by the fact that many people make these, or I should say import them from overseas. Typical flip style bolt. It's going to have a projection of the bolt throw itself, about 3/4 inch. The diameter of the head of that is going to be pretty typical, probably 3/8 maybe. No, 0.326, closer to 5/16. It's going to include 4 screws and a strike plate. Tiny little strike plate, extremely small and thin. These are usually not mortised. The thickness of this plate is 0.047, so not super thin. The width is 0.645, the length 1.51, 0.645 and 0.151. So not much to it. The two longer, well, there's 4 screws. There's 2 long screws. There's 2 short screws. The long screws are going to be for the body. That will drop right in there, allow you to finish that installation off. Okay, hole here, hole there. The 2 shorter screws are obviously for the strike plate. Let's switch now to the screen view and let's take a closer look at the supporting documentation. Here is the item that we are indeed looking at. Let's take a look and see the other finishes, first of all, that Hager makes these available in. US10A, antique bronze. US10R is a lacquered antique bronze, which, you know, A and R are both lacquered. The R is a matte finish. It's less reflective. And US15 satin nickel, 15A antique nickel, US26 polished chrome, 26D satin chrome, 3 polished brass, 4 satin brass, US5 satin, pardon me, antique brass. Back to the item we are looking at. The dimensional properties we've all gone over, along with the screws and the strike. Single route for quick and simple door prep. Sold as each. When you buy one, we'll ship you one. You might need more than one on a door. You might need only one. There's a link below this video to the product catalog that's here. And that is a fairly generic document that shows other residential types of equipment. The reason that it's important is the other flush bowls. The 1413 and 1414 residential type bolts. The only difference is the radius or square corner on the bottom. Now, you've got a 1416 which is a different, it's a slide mechanism. And if we zoom in a little bit, that's a slide mechanism, whereas the 1419 is a flip style bolt. Sorry, 1419 is a flip style bolt. Now, the 1418 is a similar concept, except it has an extension rod, which means this. If you have an 8-foot door, you probably have a 1419 at the bottom and a 1418 at the top. Because, you know, no one wants to use a step stool to unbolt their inactive door at the top. So that's the point of showing all of that to you. Okay. Now, we've talked about the different finishes. We've gone over the extended description. Now, there is a link below this video here to the manufacturer's page. And when we click on that, we're going to be able to pull up not only all of the Hager products that we sell by means of this horizontal navigation, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog here. Other encyclopedic documents are also kept here, such as the Hager Keying Service Manual, their cylinder cores and keying catalog, and even the 2010 ADA Standards for Accessible Design. Why would that be important to have for Hager? Well, Hager supplies weather stripping, and in particular thresholds, and it's thresholds that are most definitely governed by you know, the requirements of design for public spaces. And while there are many other, well, there are comprehensive references to the accessibility requirements for public spaces, like I said earlier, thresholds very much play a large part of that federal law that was that really came into effect gradually through the early 90s, but it became law overnight. It just was not enforced. Enforcement was a rolling sort of process, although there was a lot of stories of people that would just simply go around and threaten to file complaints. Rightfully so, but you know, society needed time to phase in accessibility when it comes to a national change. Plus, there weren't, you know, people that were qualified to inspect failures of the ADA code or the federal requirement. So that all phased through the early 90s. In the history of the phasing in of ADA is an interesting read. While it happened overnight legally, it didn't happen overnight practically. It did seem like you didn't see knobs the Wednesday morning after ADA was passed, or maybe it was a Thursday. I forget the day of the week, but it was strange. Everyone the next day was coming in asking for only levers. Very, very interesting. Okay, let's wrap up this video on camera. In conclusion, the name Hager is thoroughly synonymous with every aspect of commercial, certainly commercial builders hardware for commercial doors. Everything except the door and frame itself. The hinges, the locks, the door closers, the exit devices, the trim and auxiliary, the electrified hardware, the weather stripping, the sliding door material, ancillary hardware as well. Like I said, everything except the door and frame itself. The name Hager is really synonymous with Hager Hinge, and they've been in business since, and I'm not exaggerating, since the mid-19th century. And while I'm not saying you should do it, if you were to root around in the Hager voicemail prompt, you will find several people with the last name Hager. I don't know what generation they're on. I believe it to be 5 when it comes to that family business. I'm a fan of Hager. There's no doubt about that. There are a lot of people who you can buy commercial builders hardware from. Hager is a name that is being positioned to be a comprehensive provider of all things builders hardware material related. And fun fact about Hager, they are the only company that I'm aware of that will make a wide throw hinge larger than 8-inch. They can do a 10-inch hinge for sure. They may be able to do a 12-inch. I'm actually waiting for a response. Unrelated to a residential flush bolt, but an interesting fun fact about them regardless. Any questions on the 1419 and a US10A finish or any other Hager product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.